Hey folks, welcome back to the Nate Carlisle Show. This week is going to be special and it's going to be about the market. We're going to give you a real-time, real-world market update on what we're seeing in our industry, which is the construction, multifamily specifically, but we'll veer off into others. But we're going to go deep into this and look, guys, this is the real world stuff. I know a lot of people in this industry behind the scenes. You read articles, you read the news, and they're trying to build up because of political reasons and whatever. They're trying to build up the state of the market when the reality is a little different. So what the format we're going to go with is we're going to have Justice read a couple different topics and points that we used good old ChatGPT to bring up. And ChatGPT 4 brings up actual market, current market status. So with that, what's the first little document you have there? What's the first article?
The first one was increasing supply and vacancy rates. The market is seeing a surge in new apartment supply with 440,000 units expected in 2024 and over 900,000 under construction. This will likely raise vacancy rents and slow rent growth, which is only 0.7% year over year in Q3.
Here's the problem with what that's saying. It's saying the what's coming is about 440. I think it's close to 600,000 doors this year, based on the information and me knowing the industry as well as I do.
You're saying this is coming? Or it's under construction?
No, the new apartments that will be opening doors in 2024 is close to 600,000. So that's the behind the scenes real world stuff that's going on. And then besides that, there's an additional 900,000 apartments that will be opened in 2025 and 2026 that are under construction right now. So, and if you think about this, and I take this as a business owner, I'm going to take this really down to a real world, because that's what you need to do is you need to bring in the documents, you need to bring in the articles and really dig into, okay, what's the real world, and get out there and think common sense. There's about 4 million people turning 21 in the U.S. today. And let's say that that's roughly the age of people that finally go do their own apartments. Well, if you pull that back down to the 80% of that 4 million people aren't making more than $50,000 a year. Could you live off $50,000 a year right now and pay your apartment?
That would be tight.
You would almost rather move in with someone, wouldn't you? And consolidate.
Yes.
Okay, so if we take 80% of 44 million, what is that? That's roughly 3.6 million that aren't going to go and get their own apartment. And so you go from there and you break that down. Now you're actually realizing that, okay, so 85% or 80% is not going to move. Okay. What are the other 20% going to do? A lot of them are going to consolidate with their friends, with their parents. You know, maybe we'll start paying a rent. We'll move in the basement of our parents' house. Why are they going to do this? Well, because it's cheaper. And they're moving out of a house that they've been living with their parents. There's obviously room in there, and the market's down. This is all based on the fact that the market's down, right? If a market was booming, who doesn't want their own apartment? Well, it's down, folks. The market is down, and any business owner, anybody that's trying to feed you any other information, they're lying to you. The market is so down right now. We're sending out tens of millions of dollars worth of estimates, and we're always in the market of it. And so we get that feedback, and over 85% of those tens of millions of dollars of estimates those projects are being placed on hold due to what? Interest rates. Interest rates. And interest rates are the catalyst to what? Big money. It's the biggest catalyst to if someone's going to build a multifamily project or not. Interest rates, that's the biggest catalyst.
How much do you think it can affect? Or why do you think interest rates affect the construction market so much?
Well, because I mean, then we're getting into finance, dude. Like some of these, I know a developer friend that got his interest rate and build a multifamily, did about $30 million worth of multifamily, and his interest rate was around 3 or 4% a couple of years ago. And right now, his loans due to regurgitate, I'm going to call it, and he's going to have to pay like 7% interest. And that interest payment right there is millions of dollars worth in a year. Well, guess what, folks? Like vacancy is down. Like this same friend, this same apartment said that in a matter of 6 months, his apartment buildings went from 100% vacancy to below 80, and it is dropping monthly.
Where's everybody going?
They're consolidating with their parents. They're consolidating with their friends, like moving in. I know a couple friends right now, they're talking about moving in with their other friends to consolidate.
It's because it's too fucking expensive.
Yeah. Like, and all of us in construction, it's just like, oh, we're bidding so much. I seen a post the other day. We got this much bid out. But what they didn't tell you is 80 to 90% of what they bid out isn't going to go. Let alone you're not going to get the job. It's not going to go. That's the problem we're dealing with. We went from 3 to 4% interest to 7 to 8% interest. And that's killing the multifamily market. And there was a lot of projects. Like people still say, oh, there's so much building going on. There's so many multifamily stuff going on. Without understanding the fact that when you start one of these big multifamily projects, they take years to complete. So let's say we have a couple that we started in the first of 2023 that's still going today. You can't really back out without losing just tons of money and resources.
Yeah.
You're better off to take the loss.
How long does it usually take from when they want to decide to build a building to when the framers get started?
Well, let's break that down. So when I buy a piece of land, and when I develop some plans and get some dirt work and all that tested out, develop some plans, you're a good year from that point to there. And then your plans are usually about 30 to 50% done. You get a budget number. Then you start the process to go into banks. And from that process, from 30% plans complete to actually finding a contractor, you go through a couple different steps there to actually finding a contractor, you're another year. So I would say you're 2 to 2.5 and sometimes maybe 3 years before you're bring your dream to a contractor.
Oh, okay. That's a
and
long
then
fucking
and then
process.
A contractor mobilizes, and depending on if it's slab on grade, if it's slab on grade and it doesn't have podium decks, we do a lot of podium decks. Then if it's slab on grade, it's maybe 4 or 5 months at the max. If it's podium deck, it's another year. So we have competitors that won a couple projects from us back in the end of 2022. They're barely starting framing. And so it's like they have this false idea that business is good still, but they're not realizing that they're just got lucky and got that job. Luck, I mean, may the best man win. Luck is irrelevant, may the best man win. But the market is down. It is time to shift. It is time to change your thoughts. Like in our scenario, about 75-80% of our work was multifamily. So we're affected big time on this. And so like this is a whole nother scenario, but it ties right into market. What do I do as a business owner? when the market's down like this?
What do you do?
I have to figure out how to consolidate tasks. So there's a couple ways to eliminate overhead.
Okay, get rid of overhead.
Get rid of equipment, get rid of, hopefully if you're a smart business owner, you don't have junk anyway.
Yeah.
So like for us, we have equipment's our overhead, and then people, the two most valuable things, right? We don't do a lot of unnecessary spending, a lot of parties and all that stuff. So it's not a big culture change because I seen this coming. Anyways, but so what we're doing is we're going to be consolidating equipment. We're going to be taking the old paid off equipment, selling them probably in auction, and paying off a couple other pieces of equipment that can last, and getting that part out of our overhead.
Cut some overhead.
Our monthly overhead. Another thing we're doing is we're consolidating tasks. And the reason why I say consolidating tasks versus consolidating and laying off people is because you want to look at it from the standpoint of consolidating those tasks. You don't want to look at it as you're trying to get rid of people. Why? Because that's secondary. Because the people, everyone in the room, everyone in your business helped you get where you're at today. So you don't want to try to get rid of them right up front, but you want to consolidate the tasks. Maybe they're good with a 20-30% pay cut, because that's the reality of this market, folks. Like, this market is terrible. Yeah. And if we're over, look at the stats. 900,000 additional doors already in construction, with over 2025 and 2026, with 400,000 being additional being released in 2024. 400,000 to 600,000. I see both of that. So that is massive going into a market downturn. People's savings are terrible. Nobody has savings anymore but me. Why? Because I saved up for this. I seen it coming. I don't buy the boats. I don't buy the fancy cars. I don't buy any of that bullshit that's going to take away from my savings, my cash flow, my investments, because I seen this coming, and I know it's the most important thing. So all these factors, everything's down. Credit card debt's up everywhere. It's all out there, folks. Go look at it. And you have to figure out, okay, everybody's going through this. Most people aren't recognizing it. Most people are lying to themselves, but everybody is going through the market downturn, the cash flow crunch, the personal finance crunch. Everybody, but half of them will not tell themselves the truth because they don't want to get rid of the boat. They don't want to get rid of everything.
But
like one of Bert, who was on the last podcast and has been on this podcast multiple times, he has a bank friend that deals with, he's in Mountain America and all these, and he has friends in Wells Fargo and that.
So he sees the other side of it.
And it's crazy. Utah, like, they're already at 80% vacancy across the board.
The whole state?
This is coming from the bank. Yeah. This is coming from the bank.
Is this in housing or both?
No, downtown Salt Lake's different. Downtown Salt Lake's a little bit up, but if you take an average of the state, it's terrible. And so this banker's just like, why are you guys still building multifamily homes? Nobody's moving into them. And then another thing is, he made the joke. He says, hey, don't buy an RV yet. Buy it in a couple months, because there's a lot of repos coming in. So it's just like, you got to get that insight. And that's what relationships, dude, relationships are so cool, because you get this insight, and you you and I were considering buying a boat. Are we considering it now?
Not after looking at this.
Chance,
I'm like nope.
Like there comes a time, if you're in an industry and it goes down, like for instance, construction is great when interest rates are down. When interest rates are up, construction is down. There's never been a time that isn't true.
Okay.
But there's always been a time when people try to lie to themselves and say, oh, no, that's not true. Like, we're doing good. No, like, we're turning a lot of money this year still. But guess what? I know where the market's going, so I know it's full of shit.
When do you see the turn? You saw the turn going down. When do you see the turn going back up?
The turn's not going to come back till end of 2025. Like,
you think that long?
The rest of 2024 and 2025 is going to be crazy. And that's assuming that Trump gets in office.
Mm.
That's assuming that Republicans take it and interest rates come down.
What happens if they don't?
I mean, look at Joe Biden. That guy is the most crazy guy. And that's how he's not actually running his administration, but that's literally how unpredictable it is. The only thing you can predict and be accurate with the Biden administration is the fact they're all over the place and you can't predict them. You can't predict them. That's what's predictable. And so, like,
well, just look at the last 2 years. It all just went. You see, it looked good, like it was going good, then it turned to shit.
Yeah, and it was almost all of a sudden. In 2023, everybody was saying, "Oh, 2024 is going to be the year to build. 2024 is going to be the year interest rates come down." I told so many people they're not using interest rates. They're going to be using other. Did they use interest rates in 2020 when they took the presidency, manipulated the election? They didn't.
You're saying the Biden administration?
No, just the Fed. Okay, they don't need the interest rates to gain more votes. If they don't want Trump in, they're not going to let Trump in, and that's the truth.
That's the way it looks like.
Yeah,
with all this court stuff.
Okay, they don't need the interest rates. They would rather the interest rates hiked. Why? Because people behind the scenes that have tens and tens of millions of dollars stock their money in funds that are benefiting off that interest rate hikes, bonds, whatever it is. I'm not a huge financial guy in that sector, so I won't speak of all the details. But I'm making close to 13 to 15% on a couple $100,000 because of interest rates are high, and so it's crazy. That's where they want it. It's bringing the wealth back to the wealthy. Over the last 10 years almost, then the wealth has been distributed towards all these young folks, and they're trying to reverse that.
Yeah, the young bucks coming in and taking their money. They're like, fuck that.
They're trying to reverse that. They don't need interest rates to get to sway the election. They got that figured out.
Why did they hike the interest rates then?
Oh, it's just inflation. I mean, it can be said it's all they needed to, but why didn't they just let it happen? And I'm not going to get into that. It's for another podcast. I'm not a huge on the behind the scenes financial stuff. And I'm not going to try to speak of that, but they raised interest rates for inflation, which in turn causes all this construction work to fall. Our material suppliers, it's crazy. They're trying to sign up jobs. They're begging to sign up jobs right now because they're not signing jobs.
Yeah.
Like they have lumber sitting because some jobs put on hold and all this. So they're begging, like giving crazy good prices and stuff now. I predicted this.
On the housing market, say about 6 to 12 months ago, I have a brother that builds houses.
Mm-hmm.
There was times that they went from building, so say in 2022, they were building 4 to sometimes 5 houses a month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's so fucking many houses. Doing maybe one house in 2 months. One house a month, if that. They were sitting on their ass. And now, in the beginning of 2024, I've been trying to keep up with him, check on him every now and then about his work. And he's saying it's back up. They're doing 2 or 3 houses a month now in St. George. So do you have any insight on the housing market?
Well, the only thing I can say is I bought while interest rates are high. So there's people that can buy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like, I just drove through St. George a lot today, through the most booming part, Desert Color.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was probably 10 houses going in there. Over the last 4 years, there's been probably 30 or 40 going at once. Seriously.
Well, any of the subdivisions in St. George.
So it's not, but I know what you're talking about. There are some builders that are building that like some of these builders, dude, were making 30-40% on some houses during the boom. So all they need to do to make it worth it is cut their profits in half, and they're still making 20%, and they keep the bills paid and still making 20%.
Yeah, they're still going.
So like, he does stuff for ants, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like ants. All they need to do is cut their profits in half. They're still going to build, and they're one of the most notable builders in southern Utah. Yeah, so it's like, so there are those that do have and can build still, but we're talking single family houses where like that's where the parents are buying that. Well, guess what? Parents are buying too big of houses for their younger people to have a home too.
Yeah.
So those younger people are going to move in with their parents.
That's where all the
maybe
people
pay half the rent, whatever the case is.
Are going. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't believe that the residential's picked back up the way that everybody's saying it has. I think there may be a fluke, and there may be home builders trying to do it because construction prices are down so far. We have labor in the construction industry is down to almost pre-COVID conditions. People are doing projects for almost pre-COVID conditions.
When you say pre-COVID, which part? Like, what were the prices like before COVID?
They jumped about 40%, 50% on after COVID. The demand for construction, the labor part, and we're down. We're down about that.
Oof.
We're getting people calling us. Like everybody's saying Southern Utah's to go, and I was talking to a gentleman that says that they're back up over last year. The city is on releasing permits. How can that be true? I'm getting 3 or 4 phone calls a month or a week about, do you have something for me to frame? Do you have something for me to frame?
So
the reality, and that's what this
calls.
podcast is all about. What's the reality? What's going on? Because like no city's gonna be all sour and give you a false hope. They're gonna try to give you great hope that now's a great time. So it's just not true. Like the market's down. There are people, like if you had a relationship with ants, and that's what's so important about relationships. If you had a relationship with ants, then you're going to be able to keep doing their work, because big builders like ants, like Salisbury, like a couple of those guys, they're going to continue to build
because they're so fucking big and their banks are full.
Yeah, I mean they've made tens of millions of dollars over the last 3 or 4 years, and they need to stay relevant. Same reason why I'm not going out and firing everybody, or so to speak, because I need to stay relevant. I need to spend money to stay relevant. So it's the market's down, guys, and you need to kick it in gear. Get rid of, I bought a bike about 3.5 years ago. Take this simple stuff. Take these simple realities. Try this.
Like a motorbike? Yeah.
So we all know that used items back in the days, you post them on Facebook, you post them on that, and they'd go like that. Okay, and I bought a Harley Davidson about 4 years ago. I had people wanting to buy it from me, and finally I'm just like, it's sitting in my garage. I'll post it. I've had it posted for 4 months, and I've had 3 people hit me up on it. Nobody interested. Nobody interested.
I was like, is this
and
still?
I'm taking like $1,000 loss on it.
Damn.
From its actual value.
Yeah.
So take the simple reality things.
Yeah.
That's what people are thinking. If you can get an offer to the individuals on Facebook, on people that are scrolling, and they're not pulling the trigger, that's what you need to be working towards. Because
that's the first indicator, because if they're not buying that stuff anymore,
that's the best indicator as well. Because and sometimes like they don't want to admit they don't have the money, or they don't want to get the money to buy that, so they'll say, "No, I just don't want it." No, they're not buying it because
they're broke.
They're broke. They're too proud to admit it.
Well, that's human nature. I don't want to look like I'm.
I know that, but it is the truth.
Yeah.
It's just like. So try selling something of value over maybe a couple $100. People are thinking about their finances more than they have in the last 5 years. That's the fucking truth.
I seen a news article the other day that the national credit card debt is like in the trillions now.
Oh,
it wasn't before.
Yeah, I mean, it's just exploded, doubled.
It's insanity.
And savings plummeted by crazy numbers.
Yeah.
So, like, listen, folks, get your shit together. Realize the market's where it's at. And when your employer comes and says, I need help, you've been paid top dollar all these years, the company needs your help, or we're going to have to make some employee adjustments.
So give someone some actionable steps on employees, because that's a very sensitive subject for some people, and even for you.
It's only sensitive.
What do you do?
It's only sensitive because people don't value what they've done the last couple of years. Like for me, I've never had an underpaid employee.
How do you start that conversation with said employee that they need to up their game, take on more responsibility, or have a pay cut?
Hey, folks. Hey, business is down. Interest rates up. Business is down. We're able to invoice. Our income is down 60%, 50%, whatever that number is. Bring up the facts.
Okay.
Bring up just like, look, it's the truth. We're not signing jobs. We need to focus on something. Are there any more tasks? Are we all being efficient? Are there any more tasks? Because the last thing I want to do, guys, is I want to let you go. That's the last thing I want to do. But I have a responsibility for the company to keep the company afloat. So what is it that you can do to consolidate? Are you willing to let 20, 30% of your wage go? Or are you willing to take that equal percentage amount of tasks from me as a business owner? Because if my tasks, for instance, if my tasks are taken, I can go work on the business and work on sales and closing jobs. But if I still need to do those tasks that you could do, like if you could do those, take those away from me, that releases that. And so therefore, in a sense, the overhead went down because then the income can go up because I'm relieved of those tasks. And hey, not everybody's going to want to take a 30% pay cut. So maybe the ones that don't have to because they take the tasks of that other employee. So you just have to approach them with reality. You've had heart. If you're a great business owner, you've had heart for the last 5-6 years, or even more sometimes. I mean, probably 8 or 10 years. You've had heart. Trust that your employees will have heart back and help the company. So be honest with them. Confront them with the facts. And just get everybody brainstorming on what they can do. And then guess what? You need to make a decision at some point because employees ain't going to make a decision for you. You need to make that decision. So at some point you need to take in the data, take in people's thoughts and make a decision on who you're going to keep and who you're going to let go and what tasks you're going to consolidate to others, et cetera, et cetera. Hey, you need to be working like you need to be working 4 or 5 times as efficient in a market like today. Like I know that I've paid, like I've ignored it, and I've paid some of my employees numerous hours that they didn't do a goddamn thing. Why? Because money was good, and was it perfect business finance? No, but I'm kind. It's just money was good. I'm giving back, but it can't happen now. Money's not there.
Not in a time like this.
Yeah, so consolidation has to happen. In whatever industry you're in, that you've got to consolidate if that industry is consolidating. Does that make sense? Like interest rates went up, construction went down. I need to consolidate or go find a new business to do, which we're doing both. So that's how Tecton will be around, and will be around for the next market up. One of few framers in Utah and Nevada and Arizona and California. One of few framers that'll still be around after this market downturn. People don't understand the trauma that's ahead. It's bad.
Yeah, sounds like it.
The numbers don't lie. Reality don't lie. Try to sell something. Nobody's going to buy it. So with that, folks, I hope this market update was helpful. You got a lot of opinion in here, but you also got a lot of data from a business owner that I know a lot of people. I have a lot of developer friends, and I know where the market's at. I ask around, and I'm also bidding a lot. I'm getting a lot of data from a lot of general contractors. I know who's bidding all the jobs, and there's some of the jobs that are getting 60 framing bids. Was the record. 60.
Jesus.
60. Anyways, so thank God for AI, right? Because the just GCs, I asked him, I says, how do you decipher that? And he says, we uploaded it to ChatGPT. And the ChatGPT gave us an average. Anyways,
Convenient.
so guys, kick it in gear, get rid of the bolts, get rid of all the unnecessary stuff. If you don't have the money to rent it, you don't have the money to have it. Owning's a luxury, not a necessity. So get rid of everything you don't need. I did that a year ago. So with that, folks, go ahead, and I hope this was a great market update. I hope this was a great podcast. Go ahead and like and subscribe, and look forward to the next one because it's going to be great.